Don't be a hero. Don't be a hero. Don't be a hero tonight.
Don't be a hero tonight. It is nighttime. It is nearly. This actually might be the latest we've ever done this.
What latest? Certainly on a weeknight. Well, yeah, I think full stop, because we wouldn't have done a Friday night or a Saturday night. So
No.
this is the latest one. It's coming up to 9:50 in the UK, and I've got a rum and Coke in my hands.
Got a whiskey on a Monday night.
Matt's got a wit. Monday night? Is it Monday night? Oh my god, it is Monday.
Mate.
Honestly, mate,
strap in, Dennis.
This
This is going to be quite the episode.
It's just quite poor Matt has been so excited for this episode, and he's going to be let down so much by his co-presenter.
You've had a busy day today, haven't you, mate?
I've had a busy day. I've made the same mistake. You might remember a few weeks ago, listeners, that I had a meeting and then I came straight home and straight on the podcast. Well, I've made a similar mistake again, and rather than do it last night when we were both free. Basically, I was a little bit busy, but I was much freer than I was today. I went, no. Let me do it on a really busy day at work, and then finish, and then come straight into a podcast. I think because my mindset, Matt, just so you're in, was that I would free up one of the two nights and then be ultra busy on a second night. But what I made the mistake of is actually it's better to be a little bit busy on both nights than full steam ahead on one night.
Mate, I mean, I'm just really happy that you're here. Because
Exactly.
for a moment, I was like, he's going to text me. He's going to say, I'm so sorry, mate. We're going to have to postpone it a week. Is that all right? And obviously, naturally, I would have been like, of course, mate. I understand. Life's busy.
Sheer rage inside.
And then I will just cry after pressing send and throw my phone outside and go, all I want to do is talk about The Boys season 2. Like, literally like that. And cry.
Yeah.
That's literally what I would have done. But it's not happened. You're here.
I'm
here.
here.
It's great. You're here, dear listener. Thank you so much for coming for another episode of Don't Be a Hero podcast. We are talking all things The Boys. We have done season 1. That was last week's episode. And this week, oh my God, it's only got better. It's only got better. Oh
yeah.
All right. Oh.
Series 2, hit the credits, and we're back.
Oh yeah,
It is series 2 of The Boys. Awesome stuff. I will say right from the off, right, and this isn't to piss on your parade, Matt, because the parade is well worth it. But there are certainly bits of this series that I would consider the demon word of filler. There are
demon word of filler.
not many. I think episode 6, I have a vague feeling, and episode 7, certainly not 8 and 9. But there were just some bits.
There's only 8 episodes.
Episode 5 and episode 6. It was certainly not 7 or certainly not 8. Where I just remember thinking, okay, this is hitting a lull. I don't like a lull.
Yeah.
But literally 2 bits. But you know, all of this is going to be how much I've enjoyed series 2 of The Boys. And
I mean, I can't wait. I can't wait to start talking about it. It's going to be brilliant to talk about our highlights. So again, just dear listen, in terms of the format of this, we're talking about the season as a whole. Last week we did season 1 as a whole, and this week we're doing the same thing with season 2. And this is all in celebration to the run up to season 4 that's going to be released later this month. I think it's the 21st. Don't count me on that, but it's our 20th something this month where it's coming out. So hopefully we'll be caught up by this time, which we're aiming for anyway, so we can then for the first time time, actually, in terms of this podcast history, actually review something in real time where all of the other amazing podcasts out there that are doing the same thing will be joining on that little bandwagon. We'll be on that train, mate, with everybody else going, oh, you guys talking about the same thing? So are we. Oh, yeah. We might get people coming on as well. Maybe we should just get, like, Leeds come back on. Maybe we'll get Unqualified coming back on. Maybe
my God.
The Assemble podcast on. All of that. Let's get them on. Bring them all on.
Oh, Matt, your excitement, mate, makes me excited. And you know, and it was that excitement last week, Matt, that made me for 8 episodes. Well, actually, longer than that, because I've secretly watched the first 2 episodes of the newer series. So 10 episodes where I've hoped for the sign of Soldier Boy. You made me so excited last week because you said Soldier Boy, once Soldier Boy turns up, oh my God, things are getting heavy. So I, not stupid me, but autistic me, got so hyperfixated on the excitement that Soldier Boy was around the corner that every episode I was like, it's getting late in the series now for an introduction of Soldier. Oh, he's still not appeared. Oh, he's not appeared. He's not categorically not in this series at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, I did
apparently he's not in the series.
He was going to turn up in the series, but he didn't. He's a Series 3 person, which actually it's fine because what we didn't get in Soldier Boy, we did get in a Stormfront.
Oh, although quickly we do get. Do you know what? We get 2 Soldier Boy references in Series 2. Can you tell me when they are?
No, tell me.
So the first reference is by Gus's character, who I can't remember the name of, the new guy, the top dog at Vault.
Stan Edgar.
That's
straight off the top of my head. If I've got that right, and you know us, dear listener, we always get these names wrong whenever we do it.
Oh, yeah.
I've got it right. Thank you very much. Carry on.
Vought, Stan Edgar. So Stan Edgar mentions Soldier Boy for the first time in the episode The Bloody Doors Off, which is episode 6. And then in the final episode, and I didn't see this, I had to look it up after, there is a statue of Soldier Boy outside somewhere where the characters are. I think it's during the final few scenes with Billy. We see a statue of Soldier Boy. So we get a couple of early door references. But I'm not going to talk about Soldier Boy anymore because he doesn't feature in Series 2. But as you have correctly identified, the big character to talk about is Stormfront. Holy bejeebus. We get a awesome character who does help Homelander progress as a character.
We do.
And do you know what? Stormfront for me is a fantastic bit of storytelling and character development, Matt. Because initially, kind of all the way through, you're never quite a fan, or I certainly was never really a fan. Because I was like, I feel someone's a little bit off, which is, quality acting from the actress who plays Stormfront, who I can't see in front. Aya Cash. But she makes a reference to Kimiko's brother. There's so many names to remember, Matt, and we are useless with names. But Kimiko's brother...
Yeah.
When she kills the brother, she says a term. I'm not going to say it purely because it's out of context, and I don't want people recording this and pretending I'm a racist. And now they're going to take that out of context. But oh well, there we go. So yeah, she says kind of racial slur, and then you're like, you don't seem very nice. And then it just gets progressively fucking worse, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. So Stormfront is very much the new new antagonist in well, yes, a new perspective of an antagonist. We have Homelander as our kind of like big bad. But what's great about this season is with the inclusion of Stormfront, you get the kind of, she's quite quirky. Oh, she's saying things a bit outlandishly. Or, in the first episodes, it's not outlandish microaggression, then turning into racism. It's more kind of questioning Vought and questioning why Vought are doing what they're doing. And then what's great is that you see Starlight just kind of going, I kind of have the same thoughts as you. Well, let's girls get it done. All that kind of stuff. That's very much an undertone in the whole series. But Stormfront is a main kind of antagonist that's part of the main thread of the series, where somebody's coming in questioning Vought. Things get revealed about Vought and having Compound V officially being leaked as something that was injected to these kids who weren't superhuman by nature. They were injected with this. What a brilliant concept as well. I mean, that's something MCU mess about with a lot in their storylines, let's say.
Super Soldier Serum,
Extremis, all the Hulk's happening and not happening, and it's like, okay, cool, right? So they take that and they use it as something that was politicized. That's something that was used as a weapon, weaponized in a way. And that's, again, when we kind of like go to kind of the Iron Man stories, talking about Stark Industries being weaponized. Those storylines were really good because of the fact that it had government politicized implications that we as real life viewers can find references to and connections to in the real world. You kept messaging me during this last week when you were watching the episodes, and by the way, proud of you smashing through all of those episodes in one sitting, because last week you thought you weren't going to do it, mate, to be honest.
I know. And that's why I'm already leaping on series 3, mate. You're asking me why? It's because I need to bounce on this. I'm getting through it. It's a trick.
It's incredible. Isn't that a testament to how good this show is, though?
Oh, 100%. It's an easy watch. It's a nice watch.
Bingeable. So anyway, so bingeable. But the fact that you were texting me and you were saying, "Oh my god, this is so close to real life. It's unreal." In terms of the Compound V stuff, there was also the school shooting situation. So the super villains coming into a school.
Super terrorist / super villain.
Yeah.
And almost like one of my favourite scenes in this series is when they have their kind of what do you call it? You get the focus group. I think they call it a focus group, right? And members of the public. It's awesome. And then Homelander just turns around and he goes, no, this is how we're doing it, right? I don't give a fuck what they've got to say. But I loved it. And one of the things was like, here to save America or here to save the world. And like Homelander had... And this is what intrigued me, right? Is that... And I don't know if we find out later, but Homelander was quite keen on ensuring that it was only America and that the focus was America, right? So he was like, I don't really care about the make the world safe, it's about making America safe. Now, my question would be, why is that? Because we now know that Homelander is like a little test tube baby, right? Been grown up by been evolved by scientists, or grew up with scientists as parent, but you know what I'm getting at. No real parents. Got his costume, uniform. Yeah, okay, that's quite patriotic. But as a person, I would argue Homelander has no real reason to be patriotic.
Really? He's been indoctrinated since day dot. Institutionalized since day dot. To be this patriotic he is the Stars and Stripes. He is like the Donald Trump John Cena.
But he's been indoctrinated to use his powers to save and be the hero. But the patriotic part of it, like, I I don't know.
But
Like,
he's using. I think he's using that. This is what's great. Oh my! This is the other thing, man. I feel like we could talk about each of these characters for absolute hours on end. Which is what makes it very exciting when we get to season 4, because we'll have more time to do that. But I think, particularly in this season, this plays a little bit more into this. I say a little bit, quite a bit more in terms of the development for Homelander. We see him realizing his background. Okay, the fact that he wasn't born with this, he was made like this. We understand that he's got a son, and he's trying to be a dad, but he's also trying to teach his son to be like him through his image, and it doesn't go the way that he intends it. We see certain moments of vulnerability in Homelander in this season as well, particularly when he's trying to teach his son, I can't remember the kid's name now. It's not Adam, is it?
Ryan.
He's trying to teach Ryan how to fly, and he literally just pushes him on top of a house. That's like brutal. But then there's a moment where the kid is overwhelmed with noises in the museum, which reminded me of you and me. We were at Comic-Con a couple of weekends ago. And he just literally picks them up and he takes them away, and he doesn't go, oh no, I want to stay here and be the center of attention. He realizes that his son needs him, and he goes away. And there's there are those moments where I'm like, there's a human quality to him underneath it all.
If only he had his loop earphones, then he would have been. Ryan. It could have been saved there. Someone at work mentioned those loop things the other day, and I was like, I've literally never heard of them, and now it's been mentioned to me twice. But yes, we have that moment, which is quality, by the way. There's two. So we have a moment where they go to a themed restaurant. So there's what's that planet? There is a planet like restaurant in there. What's that famous kids? It's in London, and I think America has one.
And it's Hollywood Planet.
Planet Hollywood. Planet Hollywood.
There's one in Disneyland.
Of course there is. Yeah, cool. Planet Hollywood, and then there's also the theme park.
Yep.
And I love that, and I love like that's how real that is, because that genuinely would be the case, right? Vought have clearly made millions on making this like a full brand. So some great scenes, but Ryan, and we get Becca. So one of the things I said at the end of series 1, you asked me, Matt, what I thought was going to happen. Now a couple of these played out. So I said about mental health with the Deep. Which we very much got. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not a huge fan of the Deep's arc. I found that the documentary bit and the religion bit all a little bit convoluted. It didn't really have this time to breathe.
It needed to go further. Again, I think it was kind of, again, I said it last week about certain bits for the Deep, seeing a little bit more of the shithead side of him before he actually goes and be a complete shithead to Starlight. But like, we needed to see a little bit more of this Church of the Collective, I think, and seeing what kind of group are they? Are they religious or more culty? What is it like? Is it like... Because I get the vibes that it's not so wholly religious, but more kind of like a Tony Robbins situation. Do you know who Tony Robbins is? A big, massive American, inspirational coach. He does all these events. I honestly nearly got like, as I say, I'm not throwing any shade to anybody that does like Tony Robbins classes and stuff. I did one once. And in terms of like motivational speaking, he's quite let's say, much like Russell Brand, he is quite convincing as a person.
Okay.
And I was assuming that that's how they were going to kind of have contrasts and sort of parables against the Church of the Collective. So seeing these kind of like comparisons of what these groups are like when they're together, and then when they power to the people and all that kind of stuff, and when you're in this kind of collective, they're using this. It's almost looking at mega churches as well. I think mega churches have so much power in America, and they were clearly looking at that. So maybe that was it. Maybe they just need to see a little bit more of the evangelical mega churches in America that kind of like go through government system. So that's the Church of the Collective that have that say. we do know that main guy does have the sway because he's like on the board of who decides on the 7. Yeah,
well, yeah. I feel like the deep story needed to be something that they like. Yes, okay, I'm sure it goes against the comics and whatever source material, but I think ultimately, from the TV show, they should have introduced the deep later on. I think there's so much ground they needed to cover, and ultimately they've evidently gone the deep is the least important thing they want to do. So rather than leave it out or bring it in later, they've just kind of done it in the background, and it just doesn't. It means that all of his scenes are a little bit like, oh, okay, here we go. We've got the deep again. Like every time he comes on, I'm like, there's so much scope for that. With mental health is such a big thing, and religion and being indoctrinated is huge stuff. But it's not when everything else is going on in the episodes. And he's literally, it is secondary, like a secondary plot. You barely ever see him, and it just means that all of those scenes are immediately discarded almost, because you're like, okay, this is the breathing spot between the heavy action scenes, and I'm like, it's a bit. It really dampens that character, I feel, especially having A-Train as part of that as well. That kind of belittles the A-Train character as well.
I would have liked to have seen A-Train go at Stormfront a little bit, because there was that moment when there was, and this is the other thing. So throughout the series, there were in multiple episodes going back to shoots where they were doing their new movie, which was kind of like how the 7 became the 7, and it was like that Kevin Feige guy pitching the movie and stuff. It's so relevant and so taking a jab at MCU and stuff. It's so blatantly obvious, which is great. It deserves to have that. But we see A-Train and Stormfront just looks at him weirdly, and I think there's a couple of comments and stuff, and you can see that there's microaggressions towards Stormfront in there, and it would have been interesting to maybe just see that play out a little bit more, to see A-Train maybe not to have a redemption arc, maybe just to kind of call that shit out. Also, I mean, there is that moment at the end. Stormfront does get her comeuppance at the end, but I think on a collective standpoint, to have A-Train part of that might have been quite cool.
What I am loving, right, is we have done 5 phases of Marvel, and you can see how rich The Boys is. We have had far more disagreements and far more like looking at intricacies than the whole of Phase 4.
A whole fucking phase. A whole year.
Whole years.
This is the thing. We have literally spent a whole year talking about one phase where it's been so difficult to talk about character development and so difficult to talk about fucking Ant-Man Quantumania, where you go, look, you've got all of these already established characters. How are you not able to tell a rich story in even 90 minutes, right? But these guys seem to do it every single episode within just about an hour.
I absolutely agree, Matt. So going back, I find your interpretation of Homelander, I find incredible.
I don't. This is the thing. I'm not like a. Yeah, I'm Team Homelander. I'm not at all. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he's an arsehole, but it's his character I find so complex.
But you think he's a complex character? See, for me, so for me, but that's the joy of Homefront, Stormfront. Oh my fucking god, these character names, mate. Because they're just words. They're not Stormfront. Because it doesn't mean anything, does it really? It doesn't mean anything. Homefront, Stormfront, come on the front, whatever. It doesn't mean anything. Come on the back. So Storm.
I was just realising there's an episode you haven't got to until you said that.
Yeah, brilliant. Oh no, there might be. Stormfront is Stormfront. For me, they are polar opposites. So Homelander is like just. he's a test tube baby. He's got no parents. The education that he's got is probably zilch. You look at the way he's treating Ryan. He doesn't care for Ryan's, the grey areas. It's the black and whites. It's to do the bad, do the good. Do the bad, do the good. So for Homelander, he didn't think in that situation, Matt. All he thought was, you've taken my son, I'm going to fucking kill you. Because I'm annoyed, you're in my way, I'm going to kill you. There was no third degree. But the whole point of him and the Stormfront being together is that Stormfront is the very opposite of that. Stormfront is sided with someone, is part of the Nazi party, right? And the Nazis did, terrible atrocities, but they did it because they were very intelligent in the way that they used propaganda and they brought people on side to their beliefs, right? So Stormfront is able to create that divisive politics because of that background. She's got the intellect as much as she's got the superhero powers. Homelander doesn't have that. Homelander is just is just the first thought that comes to my head. That's what I'm going to react on. But he goes on the plane. He doesn't want to think about the intricacies that Maeve can think of, which is, let's try and save the kids and the mums and see who we can save. No. If none of them can, if all of them can't survive, then fuck them all. It's totally at column A or total column B, right? So that's my reading of it, and that's why I find those two characters fascinating, because you've got Stormfront, the real kind of, if I can get in with Homelander, that means the Seven is completed and restored. She doesn't care about Homelander at all, by the way. Next theory doesn't give a toss about him. It's about keeping the Seven and keeping the brand. That's all she cares about. Anyway, case in point.
I agree with you, by the way. I agree with you on this.
Okay.
It's not that I don't agree with you. I think it's that Homelander is a reactive character.
That's the word.
Stormfront is a premeditated kind of character where she goes, I've got a plan, I'm into a strategy here. But Agreed. Homelander is very much being reactive. But I'm saying that in that case doesn't mean it's not complex. Doesn't mean that he's kind of, the reactiveness isn't just a black or white kind of thing. He is still making choices in that real time, and he's still trying to figure out what he is. It's like in, I don't know if you watch Poor Things with Emma Stone, right? She was,
I've watched a bit, yeah.
But she kind of learns about life again, and everything is new through kind of a very naive sense of naivety. I think there is, underneath everything with Homelander, there is this naivety, and you get that in comparisons with Superman. Superman learns how to be human on Earth as a superhuman. So everything he's doing and everything he's learning about love and relationships is all through a sense of naivety and innocence. And I think we're just seeing a very different version of it. Yeah, and this is it. It's not, and again, the Boys thing is a story, a comic book that was very much inspired by previous superhero comics. We've seen bad versions of Superman in comics and all that kind of stuff. We've seen all that kind of Kingdom Come Superman. We get that. We've seen it. This is just put in a very realistic circumstance. This is the thing, man. We've spoken about Homelander too much, but it's really. I just think Anthony Starr this season, if I'm wrapping this up for Homelander, it was brilliant. And seeing what he did at the end of it, and knowing what happens next, I'm really looking forward to watching series 3 now and seeing what the relationship is with Homelander. The last shot, the fact that he's just absolutely just whacking off to himself, and the actual sounds that they piped in that bit was insane. It was basically like the image of seeing Batman, but just in the worst kind of circumstances. But it goes to show, doesn't it? It tells you immediately how we leave this character. I can do what the F I want. Exactly.
Yeah. It was a moment, that's for sure.
It was definitely
I don't know if that moment is worse. I think the worst moment is Anthony Starr getting in on himself, and I can't imagine how on earth that was pitched to him. reading that scene, he must have thought, right, okay. All right. Self-fellatio. Let's go. So what a scene. But we've spoken about Homelander more than enough. I think it is time. Let's start talking about the boys. So let's Bully Butcher. We've got Huey. We've got the return of Mother's Milk, Double M. Do you know what? In this series, really like Frenchie in this series.
Oh yeah.
I think Frenchie's fantastic character, lovely multi layers going on. Him and Kimiko, gorgeous stuff. Big fan. What do you think of Huey? What is your view of Huey as a character?
What is my view of Huey? I love Huey because Huey is effectively what I would like to think would be me in all of these circumstances. Like,
I can agree.
Scared to make all of the right decisions, following his nose, but ultimately he's just trying to do the right thing. He's getting double crossed by what he thought was a new friend, and then all of a sudden he's getting ploughed into a whale, and he just sat there, that moment where he's just sat there in the whale, and he's like, I'm not coming out. I'm not moving. That was like, I was watching it going, that would be absolutely 1000% me in that moment. I'd be like, no, I'm done with you. Get out. No. But then realised I have nowhere else to go. I have to do this. I like it because it's refreshing. I think he has a place in the he has a place in the show. He is the central kind of foundation of this whole story. It starts with him, and it will definitely end with him. I'll be really interested to see what happens with his character in season 4. And I think, he's really endearing. He's really quirky. You can say he's wet. He's a bit dry. He's a bit beige vanilla. It's like, yeah, but let's be honest, we kind of are. As human beings, sometimes we are. We're like that. A lot of us, I can relate to it. I'm scared of making decisions. Sometimes I'm scared. Sometimes I live through fear, and I notice that, and I'm trying to work through it. And that's what Huey is. You need it.
Agreed. I like it. I agree. I agree with everything you've just said. I'm a huge Billy Butcher fan. Like, I love that character, and I think we get. So let's talk about Becca, I suppose, and Billy Butcher. So I can't remember. Can you remember what I said at the end of last week's episode? We definitely talked about Becca, and I remember saying what I wanted, but I can't remember what it was.
So you said at the end of last week's episode, you said, whatever happens with Becca, and I mean, we could just roll it back and play it, but I'll say it. You said, I just want it to nip it in the bud as quickly as possible. You said you didn't want it to be drawn out. So did you get the conclusion?
Famous last words.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I remember saying that, and I knew why I said that.
You didn't want Billy to be all like, "Oh, Becca, I want you back," basically that.
And I feel like it did exactly that, didn't it? This whole series was a long drawn out, and it annoyed me slightly because Billy is fueled by the fact that he wants to avenge what happened to Becca. And we get there. We get at the end of the series. We get there. We get there by the fact that Billy is motivated by wanting to kill Homelander and fuck over Vault far more than he is motivated by actually genuinely wanting to get Becca back. right? It's more about the destruction that he can cause as opposed to the love and, you know, and family life that he can lead, right? And this is evident because he doesn't care about Ryan. He cares about Becca, but ultimately only cares about Becca as long as he can still fuck over Homelander, which is ultimately, you know, and Becca ends up dead at the end of the series. Spoilers, but thank Christ, because it's just a long plot point, and it kind of ruined it for me because I was like, actually, yeah, we've got exactly what I thought would happen, Matt. We just got a whole we got most of the series of Billy just being like, oh, go get Becca. It's like, yeah, but that's not why.
He's in the room.
Yeah, I gotta get Becca. Huey, I gotta get Becca. It's time.
My favourite line from Billy in season 2 was the whale bit where he comes out and he goes, "Oh, fucking diabolical." So good.
I love the character so much. It was just. I'm glad that the end of this series nipped that in the bud. Basically, all is over. It's still got Ryan, and having watched a little bit of series 3 when I shouldn't have, like that's still trickling through. I just don't. I don't understand the need for it. Like, Butcher is fueled by Avenge. Like, it's just fucking over the 7. Just have it as simple as that. We don't need. It doesn't need. Like, we've gone on about how deep all of these characters are and how rich and 3-dimensional. But Billy almost doesn't need that. We don't need. If you think that you've got Huey and you've got Billy, Huey is like one-dimensional, human. I'm not, you know, I'm just going along with it, but I'm not really sure what I'm doing, and this is me, and that's it, right? That's it. He likes Star Lamp. He wants to do his own thing, and then that's it. And his polar opposite is Bully is Bully Butcher, Billy Butcher, who is like proper aggressive and proper on it. That's it. That's all you need. You just need two polar opposites, and you almost don't even need the Becca stuff in this series. I wish I hadn't got it. Anyway.
Yeah, I kind of get where you're at. I think I was quite surprised by her death initially when it happened. I thought we were gonna get her. I think she was going to die at some point. I just didn't think it was going to be in season 2. I think they could have made. I don't know. I think they were going to draw it out, but that probably would have been a detriment to the show because it was kind of it adds. I mean, her death adds more weight to Butcher's journey, and then the decisions even as well. And I really like the decision at the end. The fact that Butcher took Ryan into kind of protective custody, effectively.
Oh yeah,
and the fact that he didn't go, I'll take him. He's with me now. He's with the boys. Like no, like, he is a kid. He's not my kid.
He's still at arm's length.
Yeah, arm's length.
And that whole scene in the woods where Becca died, like that is some of the richest, much storytelling without words. So and this is what I mean. This is what I fucking like. I think a lot of people underestimate Cole Urban. Billy Butcher's a loved character. Even before I watched it, you could see a loved character.
He's a great actor.
But I think people underestimate his acting because it's Billy Butcher, right? Yeah. But actually, that scene alone, where you can see, right, you as an actor, you are watching another actor go love, loss, anger. And then literally looks at Ryan and just that it's so rich of that kind of like, I know what I want to do to you. I know how I feel about this kid, which is like I hate you, right? And everything you've caused and everything you've done and everything you represent. And I'm looking at the guy in front of me, Homelander, who is absolutely your son. Everything about but I've just said what I've said to Becca, and you can see that internal struggle for that, and they've let it play out. That's the joy of it, Matt. That's like a 5 to 7 minute scene, and they let that play out. And then we see, and then like you say, yeah, ultimately he doesn't really care about him because he's not in his life. He's just stuck him in custody, and as simple as that. Like, he wasn't going to do that with Becca, was he? So
No.
it's really rich when you look at it like that. Yeah.
Because, like, again, if you were to draw comparisons to Butcher and Homelander, Butcher's gone, I'm going to keep you at arm's length. I'll check up on you a little, see how you're getting on. Homelander's like, no, I need you with me. I need you with me so I can teach you and you can become me. And Butcher outwardly says, at the first half of that end of that episode, so much happens in episode 8. You've just realised that we've kind of just spoken all about episode 8, but like...
It's massive, yeah.
There is that moment where Butcher goes, look, I don't want that boy growing up seeing what kind of piece of shit I am. So you go. I will hold them off. MM's going to take you away. And then that becomes the new plan.
And it's even more so when you so we got the scenes earlier in the series with him and his dad, right? And we see that he's had a shit childhood. His dad, he hates his dad, and he's got an opportunity to be a better father, and he would rather drop that opportunity in order to spend his life with an ambition, which is to destroy the Seven. And that's kind of what I'm talking about. Is what was the need in progressing Becca's storyline if ultimately that's the goal? That's an unnecessary 7 episodes when actually they could have just come up with that. It wasn't enough of a plot point. Like, yes, it would have moved Ryan's arc a little bit earlier, maybe, and they needed to play it out so that it worked with Homefront, Stormfront, Cloudfront. But ultimately, just feels like they're sorting it. But no, that's good.
Cloudfront. We haven't really. I mean, it's not kind of like a main thread. It's very much a little thread that gets kind of introduced. So we have Councillor Newman, who is a new role in season 2. Victoria Newman, who plays part of a running for the. It's effectively like the Democrat. She's like. This is the other thing I've seen in posts and articles that she is effectively the AOC. Do you know what I mean?
You can see that big time.
You can see it massively. Like, there's this kind of fairly outwardly spoke, quite progressive person in politics, and she kind of very much leans into that kind of persona in the early episodes. But then we just see that court scene where just the the bit where we have the trial for Vought, and everybody's heads
everywhere
start exploding. Like, literally, heads were rolling, mate.
That made me jump a fucking mile when that first happened, by the way.
Did it?
I was like, whoa, oh my God.
But to think, if that's your power, and you don't know when it's happening, and you don't know if it's coming, how utterly terrifying is that?
It's horrible, isn't it?
It's literally
Well, it's only horrible if you know she's in the room.
Yeah, oh my God, yeah.
No, yeah.
But the fact that nobody knew, this is the other thing, nobody knew, and we didn't know for a long time in the series what was happening, because it happened earlier. There was a whistleblower that got their head blown up in front of Huey and the boys. And they were like, what the hell was that? Like, you kind of, when it happens in the series, it comes out of nowhere, and it's literally like a jump scare. But the reveal is great, so it does end up becoming Newman that is doing the head popping situation.
And doing the head popping. She's doing the head popping. It is her who's doing the head popping. Annoyingly, this is... it's a Series 3 thing, but... But I don't... I feel like the conversations we're going to have next week are going to be so... We have so many conversations I don't know whether to bring it in slightly earlier, and it's about... I have a gripe, basically, about her origin when it comes to being Gus's... it's not Gus. I keep saying the actor's name. Definitely. Poor Gus is like, stop saying my name. Stan Edgar. Stan Edgar's adopted daughter, right? Mm-hmm. So
Why do you have an issue with that? What's the gripe there, Forrest? What's the matter, mate?
So she attended, right? So that she attended a school of young people with superpowers, right? Which we see. I've only watched the first 2 episodes, so I'm talking really early on in series 3, but I can't help myself, listeners. So I'm doing it. So and Huey the whole reason we find out is that Huey watches a video with her original name, which I won't talk about. We'll talk about that next week. But do you know what I'm about to say?
I know exactly what you're No, I did, but go on.
Yeah. Right. So Huey watches the video, which has got Edgar in the video with this woman.
Yep.
And we're supposed to believe that nobody else has watched this video, which is freely available in the system, and the girl attended a school and the school were aware of it.
This is where, Forrest, my dear friend, when we will complete our series 3, we're going to have to watch Gen V. Do you want to hear this Easter egg?
I can't wait, mate. You hit me with the Easter egg.
Stormfront at the end of season 2, obviously, and while she's burnt to shit and she looks like flipping Anakin Skywalker from the 3rd episode, we've got translation in German. So she talks in German and stuff, and I was really interested because when I watched it the first time, I was like, what is she saying? I want to know what she's saying. So somebody has done a little translation. So Stormfront says in German, while she's in her final moments, she says, "It was so beautiful how the 3 of us sat there in the shade of an apple tree. Do you remember the day, Frederick? Chloe reaching her arms out of the car window. We found the perfect spot by the river in the shade of an apple tree. It was the first time Chloe ate fresh apples." And then it's like incoherence. "I was so happy. It was wonderful. I wanted it to never end." Who is Chloe? Did she have a daughter? There is a daughter out there.
Ooh, and then we're getting Chloe.
I think we're getting a Stormfront. Oh no, we do know about her. She talks about her. For God's sake, she talks about her to Homelander. She grows old. Yeah. But anyway, that's the translation. Hey, wonderful. What? Forrest. Okay, so Forrest, just talk to me about what you're showing me right now, mate.
So I am showing you. So our good friend Reese, for my birthday, he got he bought me a She-Hulk and Hulk Funko mini moment, they're called, of Bruce's bar in She-Hulk. And yeah, kind of as a joke, and he, but Reese, in the most delightful way possible, presented me the box, and he went, "It's the least shittest thing they had." Right, number one, literally straight off the bat, I went, cheers, Reese, and then he won't mind me saying this because it was fun. And then about half an hour later, he came back in the room, and he goes, "Yeah, well, it was cheap. It was cheap." It was really cheap, actually. So yeah, no worry. I kept saying, "Oh, thank you, that's really nice." No, it was cheap. I'm like, all right, Reese. To the point where I think someone just gave this to him in the street at this point. I think they were giving them all. Literally, someone was giving these away in the street.
Unbelievable.
But it's
it was
quality.
Like when I went to Disneyland and I saw all of those Eternals figures that never got sold once.
Yeah.
There was stacks and stacks of them.
Someone's they're going to be like, they could have been so rare they could have released 2 and still no one would have bought them. No. Like, this is worth $100,000. Yeah, but it's She-Hulk, so
She-Hulk.
I'm gonna give it a miss, unfortunately.
I'm good.
But anyway, all is done. It's been a joy.
I'm so proud of you for reaching to this point in the podcast where it's now officially 11 o'clock at night.
It is.
And yeah, it's about time we go to bed, mate.
It is. We're going to go to the land of Betty Boys. I'm going to read some of my Spider-Man The Life Story comic book, which I have and Matt doesn't. And then I'm going to, go to sleep. But yeah, can't wait. Series 3, I'm on it already. I can't wait. Then Gen Z, there's whatever. Just hit me up with as many series as I can possibly watch in the next 3 weeks, and then we'll go from there.
Beautiful, mate. Well,
Can't
what
wait.
season, what show? Can't wait. Next week, here we go.
Love you all. Ta-ra for now.